You guys, the 2020 experience is here, and I could not be more excited to share this with you. It is a culmination of the many years I have spent participating in high-level masterminds and the many years of leading masterminds. Quite frankly, it's what I desperately want myself, and I think is needed and is completely missing. I don't know anyone else doing this. And so I put it together just for you. It is for 32 ambitious women who are ready to make 2020 their year. It involves a larger mastermind of 32. It involves a smaller mastermind of 8. It involves accelerators to really dig deep and get momentum when you need it most. It involves one-on-one expert coaching and services. It involves 3 in-person meetings, 2 of which are at Miraval, which is a luxury retreat, which really in and of itself transforms every part of you because it allows you to tap into the wellness and the mindset and the peace that is needed in order to truly go after your dreams. This entire year is intended to help you go bigger than you've ever gone before, to really get outside of your comfort zone and to leave behind those old patterns, those old excuses that keep showing up over and over again, and they're holding you back and keeping you from having the life that you really want. So this program is not for the faint of heart. It is only for those who are 100% committed and ready to go all in, ready to leave their excuses at the door and to really show up in a way that they've never shown up before for themselves, for their families, for their careers, for a group of women that perhaps they've not experienced that before. A tribe of women who are really at that high level, supporting you, pushing you, and challenging you, and calling you on your stuff so that you can be the best version of yourself. It is going to be a year of intense hustle and intense flow, and it is going to change lives. And the ripple effect is going to go far beyond just this group of 32 women. But it is here. It is ready for you. If you're looking for a breakout year in 2020, you can apply at 2020mastermindexperience.com. Welcome to Hustle and Flow with Heather Hubbard, episode 139. Hi, I'm Heather Hubbard, and I was a litigator, partner, and practice group leader at an AmLaw 200 firm. I know what it takes to rise to the top. I also know all too well the toll it can take on your personal life. So how do you shine bright without burning out? How do you embrace your ambition without selling your soul? You're listening to the Hustle and Flow podcast. Welcome back. I am your host, Heather Hubbard, and thank you for joining me. If you have not yet left a rating or review, please, please, please do so. And if you're not yet subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that I can automatically be delivered to your podcast app every single week. Today, I have a special guest for you. Amber Vilhauer. She has such an amazing background. First, my favorite part is her company name, NG Enterprises, which stands for No Guts, No Glory. I love it. So before Amber started her company in 2007, she was part of a multi-million-dollar marketing company named Vector Marketing. And at 20 years old, she achieved the highest sales level in the company for senior field sales manager within 3 months. She was the sales manager, the lead sales manager in her district office, ended up being recruited to Denver so that she could run a division of 13 offices in 4 states. She began to recruit and train thousands of sales reps in the Denver area. And by 25, she was organizing the production of powerful conferences and started to work with authors, speakers, and coaching clients. She has currently created more than 650 WordPress websites, and she has helped launch #1 best-selling books, including for people like Brendan Burchard, Lisa Nichols and Les Brown. Amber, my goodness, welcome to Hustle and Flow.
Oh, this is so great. Heather, I just absolutely adore you. I think you have one of the most important messages to give to working professionals. And so honestly, it's such a great honor to be here and to serve. And thank you for all of the hard work that you put into this podcast and to your business in general. I really have a lot of respect for you.
Thank you. And, same goes for you. I have to say, I love powerful women, and I love women who step into roles early on and just say, I'm going to create my own path. I'm going to create the life that I want, the business that I want. And so love fest all around. No guts, no glory. Let's talk about that. How did that end up becoming your motto? Has it always been your motto?
Actually, it's a phrase that my mom used to say to me all the time growing up. And my parents divorced when I was 5, and it was fine with me. It felt very natural. They were great at co-parenting. They were friends. They're still friends today. And so it felt very natural for me. But my mom was a single mom raising 2 girls, and she wanted us to have great educations and safe environment and, most things that we wanted within reason. And so I always looked at her like, how do you do it all? She worked really, really hard to give us such a great life. And so when she used to say to me, no guts, no glory, it meant that much more. And what was interesting is somewhere along the way, I got lost personally. And I think it was a result of just not being well liked at school for some reason. And I was always very confused by that, but it was very painful. And so the no guts, no glory motto wouldn't really come into great importance for me until somewhere in my 20s. And I remember the day in 2007, it was November, I needed to file with the state to come up with a company. And I'm thinking, a name, I guess this is important, a name. And I didn't know what to do. And I heard my mom saying, no guts, no glory. And I thought, now that's interesting. What if I named it NGNG? Like nobody on earth would know what it meant. So I'd always have to tell people what it means. But I thought, what better phrase to remember every day as I face my fears and get my message out to the world and build this company? And what better reminder for my clients coming in too, because business is hard. There are a lot of challenges trying to balance it all and manage priorities and so forth, but it stuck and it's really impacted a lot of people since then, which is great.
I love it. So NGNG, was it technically started in November of 2007?
Yeah, it was. I taught myself.
Congratulations. We've got an anniversary on our hands.
We do. This is an important time of year. It's funny because I was running that conference. It was about 2006, 2007. There was a conference here in town that taught entrepreneurs how to get money into their business and how to market online. And back then, Heather, I didn't even know what a blog was. I mean, I knew nothing about the online world. But as I'm watching these speakers talk about SEO and ads and sales letters and copy, I was like, wow, that seems really challenging, which means that it's right up my alley. And so I went home and I taught myself code. And I set up my own website and I'm learning about, search engine optimization and blogging and all of these things. And all of a sudden I thought, well, I guess I could do this for other people. And then the company was born out of that. I didn't have a formal business plan. I didn't have a vision. I just sort of went with it. I rolled with it.
You just did what was fun in the moment.
I did.
Yes. See, I did something very similar. And I love that story because I too, right? Like I had a totally different background. And for some reason, I was led to this conference in 2014 and they're talking about opt-ins and SEO and CTAs. And I'm like, what in the world is, but I'm like drinking from a fire hose. I'm loving it because it's a challenge. And I was hooked and I was like, oh, I'm in. And so very similar timing too. November 1 of 2014, that's when this company got started. And it was on the basis of just saying, you know what? Let's do what interests me, what's curious to me, what challenges me, what's fun for me, and let's go from there. So tell me, because you've now been in business for 12 years, that is amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How has your company evolved?
Well, we started out offering websites, and I was also doing these bestseller book launches for a publishing company out in California. They had actually pursued me and they said, "Let me teach you everything that we know about book launches." And I said, "No, I'm really not interested. I'm really focused on the website thing." And the company owner, pursued me for about 3 months and she said, "No, you'd be great for this. I need you. I need you." And I said, "Fine." Like she kind of wore me down. And she taught me everything that she knew about making books #1 on Amazon at the time. And back then it was hard. Nobody really knew what they were doing and it wasn't as easy and popular as it is today. And so I started doing all of their book launches on the side of this company, building websites and doing online marketing. And over the years, people would say, "Hey, could you design me an ebook?" Sure. Could you build me a funnel? Yes. Could you do my webinar? Absolutely. And so fast forward to about 2016, Heather, I had scaled the company up. We were all things to all, authors, speakers, and coaches. And we would do logos and websites and funnels and online marketing and conversion. I mean, everything. And when it comes to the online world. And we had about 220 active clients. I was speaking all over the place. I had lots of strategic partners. Our reputation was incredible, impeccable. People loved us. And there was no shortage of opportunity. Except at that time, I had walked into a conference and something about walking into that conference to speak on the stage in front of 300 coaches, everything in my soul stopped me and said, "You need to leave." And it was like this battle inside of like, "Are you kidding me? You can't leave. You don't do that. You follow through. You grin and bear it. You keep going." And then something in me was like, "Amber, stop." And so I ended up, talking to the event organizers, said something came up. They were totally understanding and okay. We had a great relationship and I left. And it was in that moment that I realized I had a broken model. Everything was great on the outside, but I was burning out and I couldn't sustain being all things to all people. So that was really when I had to take a cold, hard look at what were we doing? What did I enjoy doing? What were my gifts and talents? And how can I re-engineer my model to be less hard on me, more profitable, more fulfilling, and still have a huge impact? And so now it's all of those things. We're still just as successful and all the partners and all the clients, but I'm in a better place, which is really nice too.
It's the true definition of hustle and flow. I love that you listened to that intuition, right? Your gut, your heart, like there's something off. Even if I don't know what it is, I'm going to listen to it because we have all been trained to grin and bear it. And it's really powerful and courageous to say, no, I'm actually going to step back and figure out what this is.
It was hard. It was painful, because especially seeing my mom do it all, that's deeply ingrained in me, that I should be the perfect mom and I should be the perfect wife and I should be the perfect business owner and manager and friend. And, and so there was a lot of needing to retell certain narratives that I've been carrying with me over the years. And just, realizing that there is another way, that you can be just as profitable and successful by doing less and focusing on what you enjoy. And what's crazy, Heather, is that I enjoyed everything that I was doing back then, but I was also burning out. So it was just a really interesting process to go through. But honestly, I'm so proud of the company. I'm proud of my team. I love what I do and I love the people that we get to do it with. So, I'm really feeling blessed in this moment, 12 years later.
I have a question for you then, because this reminds me of one of the exercises that I do at the live event, which is, I guess, technically based on when we're recording this, it's going to kick off tomorrow for when it comes out. But part of it is so many things bring us joy, right? Or we enjoy them. But if we do them all, it then sucks the joy out. So it's making the decisions of keep narrowing it down. And it seems like an easy task, but you go to do it and it can be just gut-wrenching to think, I'm going to have to hang that up to do this other thing. What because, regardless of the listeners, what they're going through or whether they need a website or anything like that, they can all relate to this, which is choosing priorities. And I'm just curious if you have any words of wisdom or advice on how you made those tough decisions.
Yeah, that's really great. Just because I can do something doesn't mean I should do it. And honestly, I'm even experiencing that today.
Yes.
Where I am, like last night, Heather, I just picked my little 3-year-old son up from his daycare school thing. And, my husband and I are in the kitchen and we're rushing as usual. And it's like, he's making dinner and I'm doing the laundry. I'm taking care of the dog. I'm doing the dishes. I'm listening to Clay. I'm trying to schedule a vet appointment. Then I have to schedule a doctor's appointment. And everything had to get done in the next 30 minutes before dinner. Otherwise, our bath schedule is going to be off. I mean, it's just such a hectic time of day. And I'm in this moment, and there is that sort of soul calling again that's like, you don't need to be doing this. Just because you can do all of this stuff does not mean that you should be doing it. What if there was another option? And there's part of me that's like, no, there is no other option. You should just do it all. And this other side of me is like, you know what? I think it's time to get myself a house attendant, somebody who can come in and do my laundry and do the dishes so that I can be spending this time with my son, who really, that's where I want to be and that's where he would want me to be. So I immediately put an ad up this morning, and I am going to hire a house attendant.
Yes, you are.
Even though part of me that feels the guilt or the shame or whatever conditioning from wherever I got that from forever ago, probably. But this is part of prioritizing. Do I want to prioritize the laundry and dishes, or would I like to prioritize spending time with my son? And we could make up all kinds of reasoning and excuses of like, oh, I can't afford that, or who am I if I make this decision? But really, if we get rid of the mind chatter and really look at it as, would I rather do the laundry or spend the time with my son? Then it becomes really easy. Oh, I'd rather spend the time with my son. Okay, well then how much is it going to cost me to hire a house attendant? Okay, let's say it's $100 a week or whatever. All right, well then where am I going to come up with that money? Either I'm going to give up something else that doesn't matter in my budget, or I'm going to find a way to create a new $100 a week. How am I going to do that? That could be a fun, creative exercise. Yep. But at the end of the day, I think that for me, long way of saying, I really try to get rid of the mind chatter and look down to this option or this option. And once I've made that choice, then it's like, okay, would I rather do this or this then? Okay, once I've made that, would I rather do this or that? And before you know it, I've really simplified the work on my plate. I've just cut the fat in my business, and I'm more fulfilled. I can think better, more joyful, which then attracts in more of the right clients. I mean, it's a snowball effect, but it's a positive snowball.
I love this conversation. There's someone in the high level annual mastermind right now. She's listening. I know she is. She just went through this process where we were all like, you've got to hire somebody. This is ridiculous. And she just did it. And she was like, oh my gosh, my life just changed.
Oh, I can't even wait. I think I already found the candidate. We're interviewing her later today. And I'm like a little kid right now, because the thought of not having all of that junk to do and just sitting on the floor playing trucks with my little kid, like, why have I not done this sooner?
If anyone
because I thought I had to do it all.
Yeah. If anyone is listening and you're thinking, oh my gosh, that would be so nice, figure it out, make it work.
100%. Because we all make choices, and it's so funny how we justify money. It's like, oh my gosh, $50 for a toothbrush I use every single day, but you'll crush $50 on a bottle of wine when you're out with your husband or something. It's like, we just need to figure out what's going to cause less stress and more joy, and then start moving in those directions.
I love that. All right, let's talk about websites.
Okay.
All right. So for those of you who don't know, Amber did the 2020 mastermindexperience.com site. So you can go check it out. That is her work. We are currently in the process of redoing the entire website, the heatherjoyhubbard.com website. So we are in the middle of it now. You'll eventually get to see the end result. But Amber, I would love to hear, because we have a lot of people listening. Some are business owners. And so clearly, they very much may already have a website or think I need a website. We have others who are listening that maybe don't have their own website. Although I kind of think, regardless of whether you own a business or not, don't you think kind of in this day and age, everyone should have a website? Like, shouldn't even a CEO have their own personal website?
Yes.
And you can say no, like this, I'm just.
It depends. It depends, right? So I do think that if you are an author, like if the CEO is an author or wants an outlet just to write down some ideas and get them out to the world, or if that CEO is a speaker, anything like that, then you absolutely, it's mandatory. But some CEOs don't care about that, in which case they probably don't need one, and a LinkedIn profile would suffice. But I do think that if you have a message that you want to get out to the world, it doesn't matter if you're a photographer or if you're a website geek like me, or, you know, whatever it is that you're doing, it's an outlet to get that message out. And really the website acts as that first impression. It's funny to me when I'm standing in line at a Starbucks, for example, and I get in conversation with somebody standing next to me, and it's like, that's their opportunity to really get to know me and my work. Yet every time they ask for my card so that they can go to my website so that they can learn more about who I am and what I do. Like people prefer going to a website now first, where they can, you know, sit and absorb it and make their own judgments or decisions or whatever, as opposed to an in-person conversation in that moment. So, you know, it's got to be a great representation of who you are, what you believe, what your message is. It has to deliver a powerful punch in that it can't be a scattered mess of all the things that you can do, right? Mm-hmm. It's got to be a very clear and direct message of what you do and who you want to serve. And it's got to be something that you're not just proud of your website, like, oh, it looks so nice, but it has to also give you results, meaning that people are then picking up the phone to contact you to schedule a call, or they're joining your email list, they're taking some sort of action. And the percentage of people that have a website that they are proud of and get results with, usually less than 10%. It's so small. It's ridiculous. So my work is really to help you have the website that you're proud of and that gets you results.
So I think, so going back to the small business owners that maybe have a website or maybe don't. I have some clients who don't have a website. Do you think that they need it? So for example, the people who are mostly referral based, right? Those are the ones who generally say, I don't really need a website. I'm curious as to your thoughts on that.
Wrong. Because here's the deal. People still are going to look at that as a credibility factor, right? If you have a website, you're more credible than if you don't. If that website has content on it that backs up your big ideas or your message, like for example, even if you're a plumber, it's not just, oh, I'm a plumber, here's my phone number. That's not enough, right? I mean, I guess it's better than if you don't have a website, but the next level is, here is what you need to know about the world of plumbing. These are some myths. Here's what you might run into. Here's some educational pieces about how to avoid hiring a plumber even. I mean, so when you have educational content on your website, now you're even more credible. Also, it's that content that allows me to get to know who you are personally. People buy from those that they know, like, and trust, which is why I'm such a video junkie, Heather. I mean, if you look, you can't go anywhere online that I have influence over and not see videos of me on my website, on my social media. I mean, it's freaking everywhere, because video is the best way to make a personal connection in a digital world. So if you see me on video, you're going to see that, yes, in fact, I am this very energetic, smiley, bubbly person, right? That's just me. And what you see is what you get. And there's total consistency when you see me in person too. So what happens is, through this video, through this content, there's a level of transparency that builds trust really rapidly. And so now, you know, prospect comes in, they're looking for a plumber. Are they going to pick the person who has a website with educational content and video where I get to see and know the person in advance? Or am I going to pick the guy who has the world's worst website and it's just a photo and a phone number? That's a little shady. I don't know if I can trust that person. It's a risk. Yeah. So that's part of it, is it is important to growing a company, building a business.
Yeah. And it's interesting to me because I totally get the concept on the referrals, right? I know when I was starting my business, I had so many coaches and consultants say, oh, you shouldn't focus on the online business side, which I knew like they just didn't get it or what I was trying to create. But they're like, I've never had a website or my website's terrible and I still get good business. And I'm like, and what kind of business might you have if it was good?
I know,
I mean,
right?
the flip side of that, how much business are you losing? Because this is how we search for each other these days, right? Like it is online. Let's talk about, because we do have a lot of professional service providers that may be thinking, well, I'm not a plumber, I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, right? Talk about that. Like, because I still think there's an educational component. And at the very least, you can still structure your website in a way that lets people get to know you better so that it just feels good when they go to make that decision.
It's easy for me to experience the difference now because I can see the other side of it. Sometimes we just don't know what we don't know. We don't know what's possible, right? So if I still have business and I have a junky website, well, right, like you said, well, what could it be like if you had a great website? And I remember back when I first started, Heather, I didn't have video on my website. I didn't really share a lot about the website development process you would go through if you hired me, didn't share my rates on my website. So what would happen is people would come to my website, click on the contact page, request a call to learn about the website development process and my rates. Because there was so much information that I needed to share with that person, I would schedule hour-long sales calls. I'd get on the call with these people, and only about 25% of the people I spoke to would actually turn into a client. When those people turned into a client, it was not always a smooth ride. Sometimes there would just be personality differences and I would find it challenging or stressful, or there might be conflict in the relationship, or every once in a while they just wouldn't make their payments, for example. So there was just like these issues, right? And I didn't know any better. So I thought, well, I guess this is just what it's like running a business. Now, fast forward to today, where when you get to my website, there are going to be videos where it fully describes every detail of the website development process. You can access a document that has our rates and payment plan options in advance. Then when it comes time to scheduling a call with me, I only schedule 30-minute calls now because you already know all of that other information in advance.
Yep.
When people get to the call with me, they often say, wow, Amber, it feels like I already know you. I've watched so many of your videos. And yet this is my first time talking to that person. That's how I want them to feel. Mm-hmm. Like we've been friends forever. And so through the process of these videos and sharing the rates in advance, it's actually a great pre-qualifier. The people that I get on the phone with are like my ideal dream clients. It is just the smoothest, most harmonious relationship. Everybody pays. Everybody's happy. Tons of recognition and love shared all the time. It is like a dream. It's like walking on a cloud. And I'm sitting here thinking like, this is what's possible. This is amazing. So now I'm on a mission to share this is what it's like for other people. So coming back to your point, yes, you can have a website that is not a good reflection of you or your work, doesn't really share updated educational content, doesn't have video, and sure, you can have a business. But this is what's possible on the other side if you start to implement video, strong educational content, you have a website that's professionally branded around you and your personality, you're going to talk to more qualified people, you're going to close a bigger percentage, you're going to save time, it's going to be more harmonious, more efficient. I mean, there's seriously so many benefits to it. And it all starts with a website.
And it's not one size fits all. I mean, so I know for the people that like have taken my business development courses, it is really saying, okay, what is my brand? What do I stand for? Who is my ideal client? What do they need? What are they looking for when they come to a site? Because it is different based on, who you're serving and what you're offering, and then building it from there. I know so many professionals feel as though, right, like it's not their strong suit. So they just hire it out. And a lot of times it's, whoever's in their industry that's niched down. And I sometimes think that's a mistake because they all look the same and it's not based on your specific brand and positioning.
Yeah, and that is important. Now, You'll see some patterns to our website, but it's more in layout, right? Because we know that if you have a button at the top right corner of your website, doesn't matter what the button says, right? It's our biggest call to action. It could be subscribe to my podcast. It could be join my email list. It could be call me. But that button in the top right corner is important. And so you'll see most of our websites have some sort of button at the top right corner. That is okay because that's in an effort to get a better conversion. But what's not okay is when it looks templated and boxy and here's some crummy photo that just it's like out of the blue. It doesn't feel like it belongs to anything else. It's not blended, it's not polished, it's not professional. So your website should absolutely be a reflection of who you are. And I feel called to also add, Heather, that you are a human evolving. Right? We learn, we grow, we evolve. We're focused on personal development and getting better, right? Therefore, your message will evolve. My website and message today is very different than what it was 12 years ago. And so your website is it's like a house plant. I mean, it needs, to be nurtured and supported and updated regularly. And, it needs to constantly be this updated version of you, basically, right? So my website today at ambervilhauer.com, it's a little bold and edgy and it's got pink on it. Oh my gosh, I was not a pink person 5 years ago, that's for sure. And 5 years ago, I would have been like, who the heck is this girl? That's not me. But now I've changed. So my branding needs to reflect that. And also remember that your audience that you're speaking to, they're evolving too, right? So it's just this natural process of change. But that's why I really want to encourage people to regularly look at their website and update that bio. Come on, man. Like, let's update that blog. Let's breathe some life into it because, again, this is your first impression. So we've got to make it a great one.
I love it. And honestly, that's kind of why I think that a lot of professionals really need their own website, even if it's just, right, like one page. And here's my pitch for this. I think that you don't know what you want, right? Because we evolve. So you may be perfectly happy today, but in a few years, you may want to pursue another job, or maybe you are open to speaking opportunities, or you want to do something else. It's so cheap to get a domain. So go grab that domain now. And if people are searching for you, they're not just going to your company, especially if you're in a big company, they can find you on your site. And it can say that that's where you are and lead back out to the company. But so many companies, you're restricted within their guidelines, and it may not be the best representation of you. So as long as you're not being competitive or whatever else, it allows you to go ahead and say, you know what? I am a unique individual that has a ton to offer. I'm going to keep this updated. And who knows who's going to stumble on my site and bring me opportunities. Or when I do want to, maybe go for another gig or position or something else, I've got somewhere for them to, to send them. And that kind of goes to my strategic, always positioning yourself in a way that others aren't. I think there's a lot of opportunity there.
I really love that. Thank you for saying that, Heather. I could not agree more. Usually, if you are featured on some sort of corporate website, that website is probably very outdated and not flattering. Yep. Having something that is your personality, think about it like a call me page, almost like an expanded business card. It could just be your photo, bio, contact information, maybe some social media links. Over time, it could grow into a blog where you just have an outlet to share some ideas or some inspiration. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, you throw up a speaking page maybe, and you're doing workshops. I mean, who knows what it could lead into, but having that out there could be very valuable just for attracting an opportunity, something that you can grow and expand more organically over time. I love that.
I think we should all be marketing all the time, whether we own a company or not, because if you are listening to this podcast, you are a personal brand. You are. The earlier you can build that, the better.
I agree. I mean, look where my company grew into. And I just started I'll teach myself code and just start a blog and see what happens. This could be used. I mean, not my business, but you know what I mean? Who knows where it's going to lead someday? Just experiment.
All right. So you guys can pay attention. You can watch. You're going to see the way that my website is changing over time. And, maybe we'll do a recap later on as to the decisions that were made and why. but super excited to get that updated and out in the world. Amber, for those who are listening thinking, oh yes, I do need a website, or I need help with marketing or whatever else, what is the best way for them to learn more about you?
Thank you. And thank you so much for your trust and support, Heather. I'm so excited about your brand and all of the things that you have coming up. It's just amazing. So probably the easiest way is to go to my primary website, which is ambervilhauer.com. I know it's kind of a tricky last name, Vilhauer. You could just Google me and I'm all over the place. I mean, tons of free YouTube videos and podcasts and all kinds of free resources. I am definitely big into education and sharing what I know and building community. And so, yes, as Heather mentioned, the three primary services that I offer, I definitely do logo and website development. I do have a flagship product that trains your team how to do all of your content marketing for you. So for those solopreneurs, small business owners, speakers, authors, that could be something really important to learn about the systems behind marketing to free you up and still get great work out into the world. And then the third thing is I run bestseller book launch campaigns. So all three of those are talked about on my primary website.
I love it. Amber, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast and for helping me with my website. It has been such a pleasure, and I look forward to continuing to work together.
Me too. There's so much more. There's such synergy between us. I hope you guys feel that, those of you listening, and there's a lot of great things yet to come between Heather and myself. So thanks for listening and your time today.
Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. For show notes, downloads, and other free resources, and to keep the conversation going, head on over to hustleandflowpodcast.com. See you there.